So seeing that the dust has settled when it comes to the Activision Blizzard King block, let's see what the experts say if Microsoft have a chance of turning things around. We'll first look at the bad news, then we'll look at the ugly news, and I'm saving the good for last. So listen to what the experts say, uninterrupted. This is Island Gaming with Jay, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's do it.
Billion-dollar acquisition of Activision Blizzard over concerns that the deal would damage competition in the gaming space and harm innovation. Yahoo Finance's Dan Halley is here with us to talk us through that and what's going on in big tech more broadly. But let's talk about this deal first, because there was some murmurs ahead of time that it could get blocked. We didn't expect it would happen today, right? And so how big of an obstacle is this?
This is a big obstacle. Microsoft is now going to have to appeal this decision from the CMA, and, they say that they're going to. We actually have a statement from Microsoft President Brad Smith. He says, "We remain fully committed to this acquisition and will appeal. The CMA's decision rejects a pragmatic path to address competition concerns and discourages technology innovation and investment in the United Kingdom." So kind of hitting there at the UK at a time when they're also dealing with high inflation. And then Activision Blizzard, a spokesperson, said the CMA's report contradicts the ambitions of the UK to become an attractive country to build technology businesses. "We will work aggressively with Microsoft to reverse this on appeal. The report's conclusions are a disservice to UK citizens who face increasingly dire economic prospects. We will assess our growth plans for the UK. Global innovators, large and small, will take note that despite all its rhetoric, the UK is clearly closed for business." So really strong words there from both Microsoft and Activision Blizzard. And this deal, this would have been the largest acquisition by Microsoft. The reason why they're doing this is twofold. They want Call of Duty. It's a huge franchise. Last version made $1 billion 10 days after its release. So, that's a good amount of cash to be pulling in. And the other thing is this still nascent cloud gaming market. And Microsoft right now is just, beating the pants off of Sony. NVIDIA, Nintendo's not even part of that conversation right now. They have their Xbox Cloud, the Xbox Game Pass with Cloud offering. It's $14.99 a month. I have it. I love it. You get easy access to games. Look, if Microsoft is eventually able to get Call of Duty and other Activision Blizzard games, it would be massive. The issue here, and the FTC points this out, which is also suing to block this deal. They say that Microsoft had previously gone back on assurances that they would allow some games to be available to third parties like PlayStation when they acquired ZeniMax and their company Bethesda Softworks. There's a huge game coming out from them that was originally going to be on PlayStation, is now not going to be on PlayStation, going to be an Xbox exclusive. And look, exclusives are really what matters here. If you're going to sell consoles, people are going to do it based on what games they can get for them. The cloud kind of starts taking that away, though. And Microsoft is aggressive as hell when it comes to the cloud. You get a Samsung TV, it's got Xbox Game Pass built in now.
Well, so Microsoft...
Well, let's try and figure this out. I want to understand this from an M&A point of view. I want to understand this from an investor point of view. Basically, our question of the day is big tech too big to do big deals? And I think we need to try and get an answer to that question, because we've got to figure out how these companies are going to grow. What kind of an M&A environment are we going to be looking at? Is AI, as Kaylee says, maybe the place to go? Jennifer Wright joining us now, Bloomberg Intelligence Senior Analyst for Antitrust Litigation. Jennifer, I'm going to start with you and try and understand why this deal has been blocked. Is the Activision Blizzard deal dead from a Microsoft point of view? And what does that mean for the rest of big tech?
It very well may be. The companies can continue to fight this. They can go to court, both in the U.S. and in the UK, but we're talking years before they might have a resolution. And they have a July end date this year in their purchase agreement, so obviously would mean that it would require some sort of an extension. And I'm not so sure a deal can hold together for 2, 3, 4 years. This has already been pending for 15 months. So, this is problematic for the companies, and they're going to have to decide if it's really worth going forward and fighting for this deal, spending that time and that money where they really don't know how it's all going to end up, or whether it's time to abandon.
Well, and it raises a question of what kind of precedent this may set. I mean, Jen, do we live in a world in which big tech companies, when making acquisitions, are guilty until proven innocent, guilty, that is, of violating antitrust and competition concerns?
You know, sadly, it shouldn't be that way, but I think you're exactly right. I think it's going to be much harder. It already has been in the last year, much harder for many companies to do deals, particularly big tech and big tech platforms, and I think that's going to continue. I mean, we've seen really aggressive enforcement in the U.S. We're seeing this really aggressive enforcement in the U.K., which, by the way, is a brand new burden ever since Brexit for these companies, because the U.K. used to be much more rolled into what the European Commission did. So you now have three, if you think of China, four big regulators that could step in and block a deal, and you have both the U.K. and the U.S. really antagonistic toward deal making by big tech companies, even now trying to unwind past deals that have been done, like Facebook, Instagram. So I think it's going to be a very challenging environment going forward.
All right, well, certainly challenging for the stock of Activision Blizzard today. Right now, it is down about 9%. Microsoft, for its part, up about 7%. Thank you very much to Jennifer Reed.
Antitrust regulators have blocked Microsoft's $69 billion deal to buy video game maker Activision Blizzard. In a statement Wednesday, Britain's Competition and Markets Authority said, "We've prevented Microsoft from purchasing Activision over concerns the deal could damage competition in the cloud gaming market, leading to less innovation and choice for UK gamers." The all-cash deal was set to be the biggest in the history of the tech industry, put together by the maker of Xbox video game consoles. Activision Blizzard has developed many popular games. Even if you haven't played them yourself, you've almost certainly heard about some of them, like World of Warcraft, Call of Duty, Candy Crush, and others. And for more, Michael Pachter joins me now. He's managing director at Wedbush Securities, where he covers entertainment software and other tech sectors. Michael, British regulators say they're concerned about the cloud gaming market. Explain to us what that is and why it's so important to this decision.
It's the centerpiece of the decision. It's not really much of a market. So the cloud gaming market consists of services where you can play a game on any device, on any screen, without a dedicated device. So you can play a console game without a console on your TV just by connecting to the internet, and then your television somehow communicates up into the cloud, and cloud servers run the game for you. So it's a very inexpensive way for people to get access to premium games without having to spend $500 on a console. It's obviously a better experience than playing a game on your phone. So very similar, though, to the way mobile games work. It's just that the games are much higher definition. You can play them on a TV. The reason I said that it's kind of an odd way to make, for the centerpiece of the decision, is that the entire market is about $3 billion a year for cloud gaming, and that's mostly Microsoft. The other big player that makes money is Sony, and not as much. Just to put it in perspective, Netflix is at a run rate of over $30 billion a year. Disney Plus is probably close to $20 billion. So movie and video streaming is probably a $100 billion market, and cloud gaming is a $3 billion market. And the UK decided they're so worried about emerging competition in this sector that they're going to protect the British consumer from Microsoft's predatory practices in buying content.
It's no secret European countries have been much more willing to regulate than those in the U.S. What in particular is driving these moves now?
I mean, look, I have to surmise here, but I think this is purely political. And I read the entire, 90-paragraph, it's numbered, opinion today. It's very clear that the UK is trying to send a signal to Microsoft that they can fix this. They didn't say, we deny this because we just think that there's an irreparable harm. They said Microsoft didn't offer enough. Here's what they should have offered. And that's a signal to Microsoft that if they come to the table and concede what the UK has asked for, they're going to get their deal done. So I actually expect that to happen. I think it'll be a matter of weeks. The market thinks this is not going to happen, so the stock has gone down. I frankly think that they're going to reach an accommodation. And the accommodation is that either they keep Activision's content off of their own game streaming service, the Microsoft Game Pass service, or they commit that they will make that content available for other services, which haven't yet even launched. And keep in mind, Google shuttered their service. Amazon's never quite been able to launch their service. NVIDIA just launched one. So big tech behemoths can't even compete without Activision content, and Microsoft doesn't have it. This is a bad business. I doubt anybody's ever going to compete, but I think Microsoft salvaged this thing in the next several weeks.
Big tech and business leaders will tell you that this is going to discourage innovation. What do you make of that argument?
Oh, it's like saying Netflix, dominating in streaming is going to discourage people from making television shows. And we saw the number of scripted TV shows triple since Netflix started streaming. So no, I think it's exactly the opposite. I think that Microsoft's going to give game creators an opportunity to get their content to far, more people. And that means that there's a much greater opportunity for everybody. So no, not there. On the cloud side, maybe, because it's really expensive to compete. And you're talking about a market that's dominated by Amazon, Microsoft, and Google. But those three guys compete pretty regularly against one another. Pricing for cloud services has been going down, not up. So it's been a good thing that there's three big guys slugging it out. It's good for the consumer.
And just circling back to something you said before, I just want to get this right. A lot of people say this deal won't happen. You think at this point they will find some way to make it happen?
Yeah, reading between the lines, the UK offered Microsoft an out, which is to commit that they won't raise price on Game Pass, and Microsoft's going to take that out. It's pretty clear to me that the UK is trying to be the leader here, show that they got Microsoft to bend the knee and make concessions, and then they're going to run a victory lap and wave the flag and say, we protected the consumer. And they're trying to get this done before the EU announces its decision on May 22nd. The FTC has already filed a lawsuit in court. We won't even have a hearing there till August 3rd. So I actually think the CMA caves around May 22nd. The EU follows, and the FTC has no recourse but to concede as well.
So if Microsoft makes this concession, then that's just in Europe, or it affects gamers everywhere, or that will then eventually have to happen in the US?
That's a great question. I actually think Microsoft will make the concession on pricing everywhere. I think a good evidence for this is the price of Windows and the price of Office really hasn't gone up in 30 years. They're just making it up in volume. So, it's not like Microsoft is predatory pricing for the products that they already dominate with. They've got the Netflix model. They want to go from 25 million subscribers to 200 million subscribers, and the incremental subscriber costs them nothing for content. They've already paid for the content. It only costs them content delivery service fees, which is probably $2 or $3 a month. So if they charge $15 and get $2 or $3 a cost, $12 a profit, multiply that times 200 million incremental subscribers. That's a good business.
Michael, thank you very much. Maybe I'll see you on the cloud when I get home. I know my son is there right now. Appreciate your time.